Welcome everyone. Today our topic is corrosion of metals, and this is from lesson Metallurgy for class 10th, and this is a part 7 video of this lesson. Let's start. Okay, so before let's first study about what is meant by corrosion. So student, what is corrosion? So the gradual destruction of pure metals by the action of air, moisture or a chemical such as in acids on their surface is called as a corrosion. That means when a metal is reacting with all these like air, moisture or any chemical substance, destruction of the metals takes place, and this process is called as a corrosion. So this is a natural process. Okay, and when an iron object is kept in damp air for a considerable time, then a red brown substance called rust is formed on its surface. So I hope you all have seen this real example in your life. Okay, and this rusting called as a rusting. So this process of destruction of iron reacting with an air, it is called as a rusting. So this is a natural process. Alright, now student, have you seen the following things like old iron bars of buildings and copper vessels not cleaned for a long time, silver ornaments or idols exposed to air for a long time, old abandoned vehicles fit to be thrown away. Why this is so? Because these are the in all these cases, destruction of the materials or metals has been takes place due to their reactions with the environment like air, moisture or some different acids. So these are the examples of corrosion. Okay, now let's understand the corrosion of metals. Rusting of iron articles causes large financial loss, and thus corrosion of iron, that is rusting, is a big problem. And iron reacts with moist air and a deposit of reddish substances that is Fe2O3 into water is formed on it, and this substance is called as a rust. So Fe2O3, this is a formula of rusting, that is a reddish layer deposited on the surface of a metal. As you can observe the alongside diagrams, the bars of a bridge. Okay, the bars of the bridge have been converted into reddish brown substances. So what is this? This is nothing but the corrosion or rust on the iron surfaces, and this causes a big financial loss. So this is a major problems related to this construction. Okay, and next is the carbon dioxide, that is CO2 in moist air reacts with the surface of a copper vessel, and copper loses its luster due to formation of a greenish layer of copper carbonate, that is CuCO3 on its surface, and this is called as a patination of copper. So when carbon dioxide which is there in the air, it will react with a copper vessel or any idol, so it will convert it. Just you can observe the Statue of Liberty, it is converting into the greenish color. Why? Because this is made up of a copper, and copper reacting with the carbon dioxide which is present in the air. So the reaction between these two makes the copper destruction of the copper metal, and the greenish layer which happens on the copper surface, it is called as a patination of copper. Okay, so you can observe on the copper pipe the greenish layer. Clearly you can observe the greenish layer. This is a patination of a copper, that means destruction of a copper metal. Okay, now next is on exposure to air, silver articles turn blackish after some time, and this is because of the layer of silver sulfide, that is Ag2S, formed by the reaction of silver hydrogen sulfide, that is H2S, in air, and this is the corrosion of a silver vessels. Okay, silver metal we can say. So the blackish, you can observe the blackish layer on the pot. So this is nothing but the corrosion of a silver metal. Why? Because the layer of a silver sulfide has been deposited on the silver metal, so it is reacting with a hydrogen sulfide. Destruction of the coin. Okay, now last example is by oxidation of aluminium. A thin layer of aluminium oxide forms on it, and this is a destruction of the aluminium. So when the aluminium will oxidize, a thin layer of aluminium oxide, that means aluminium reacting with oxygen, a thin layer of aluminium oxide forms, and this the corrosion of the aluminium has been taken place, as you all can see in the alongside diagram picture. Okay, now next we have seen all the examples of corrosion. Now let's understand the prevention of a corrosion. Why? Because this is a very big problem of the environment, and this takes a large financial loss also. So let's see the different methods of prevention of corrosion. Okay, so student, various methods are used to protect metals from corrosion, and special attention is paid in almost all the methods so that iron does not rust, and we can lower the rate of a process of rusting of iron. And corrosion of metals can be stopped by keeping metals isolated from the direct contact with the air. That means if the corrosion, if the metal, okay, if the metal will separate it, keep separated or being isolated from the direct exposure to air, so the corrosion can be reduced, the rate of the corrosion can be reduced, and the so it has been reduced when we isolated the metals from the direct contact of air. Now let's understand the prevention of corrosion can be achieved by various ways. Some of these methods are as follows. So first method is to fix a layer of some substance on the metal surface so that the contact of the metal with moisture and oxygen in the air is prevented and no reaction would occur between them. So by fixing a layer on metal surface, it can be, the corrosion can be reduced to little extent. And next method is to prevent the corrosion of metals by applying a layer of paint, oil or grease or varnish on their surfaces. For example, corrosion of iron can be prevented by this method. So when the iron metals are corroded, we can apply the layer of a paint, oil or grease on their surfaces, so it can be reduced, rate of the corrosion can be reduced. So student, can we permanently prevent the rusting of an iron article by applying a layer of paint on its surface? So no, we cannot protect the articles permanently from rusting by painting them, and the method of painting is suitable for only short time. And if there is a scratch on the paint on the surface of the articles, and if a small surface of the metal comes in contact with the air, the process of rusting starts again below the surface of the paint. So this is a just permanently short time method of prevention corrosion of preventing a metal from being corroded. Okay, now let's see, why do new iron sheets appear shiny? Why this is so? Because new iron sheets are pure iron metal, and pure metals have luster, due to which new iron sheets appear shiny. And corrosion can be prevented by putting a layer of a non-corrodible. Now non-corrodible metals like zinc metal on the corrodible metals. Now here non-corrodible means zinc metal, and corrodible like iron, copper, which we have seen in our previous slides. So when non-corrodible metal layer has been fixed on the surface of the corrodible matter, the corrosion can be prevented. Okay, now let's see the different methods of corrosion, preventing a corrosion. So first method is galvanizing. So student, what is this? In this method, a thin layer of a zinc, which is a non-corrodible metal, is applied to prevent corrosion of iron or steel. And for example, shining iron nails, pins, etc. In this method, corrosion of zinc occurs first because zinc is more electropositive than iron. Now electropositive means which can easily donate their valence electron to attain the noble gas configuration or just to attain their stability. And after a few rainy seasons, the zinc layer goes away and the inner iron gets exposed, then iron starts rusting. So this is a slow type of this is a method which can be prevent the corrosion of a iron or steel metal. So below you can observe the galvanizing process in different process like caustic cleaning, rinsing, pickling, again rinsing, then flux solution, drying, zinc bath, and after cooling and inspection. So this is a galvanizing process. Okay, now next method is a tining method. Now in this method of a layer of a molten tin is deposited on the metal surface, and we call this as kalai. So this is this example we can see in our daily life, that metals are kalai has been applied on the surface of the vessels. Okay, and a greenish layer forms on the surface of a copper or brass vessels. This greenish layer is so poisonous for us, and if buttermilk or curry is placed in such a vessel, it gets spoiled easily, and tining is done to prevent all such damages. Okay, now next third method is anodization. Now in this method, metals like copper, aluminium are coated with a thin and strong layer of their oxides by means of a electrolysis. Like copper can be oxidized by copper oxide and aluminium can be oxidized by aluminium oxide, as you can see alongside diagram, the anodization process. Okay, and for this purpose the copper or aluminium articles is used as the anode, and as a thin oxide layer is strong and uniform all over the surface, it is useful for prevention of corrosion of the metals like copper and aluminium. Okay, and for example, when aluminium is anodized, the thin layer of aluminium oxide is formed and it obstructs the contact of the aluminium with oxygen and water. So we can say the obstruct means it can keep isolated the metals with direct exposure to oxygen and water like air and moisture, and this prevents further oxidation, and this protection can be further increased by making the oxide layer thicker during the anodization. So this is the best method which is helping to prevent the metals from corrosion. And fourth method is electro plating. This is simple method. In this method, a less reactive metal is coated on a more reactive metal by electrolysis, and silver plated spoons, gold plated ornaments are the examples of electro plating. So here you can observe the anode, which is a silver plate, and here cathode, which is the aluminium spoon. So the aluminium spoon has been coated with the silver plate. So these are the examples like silver plated spoons, gold plated ornaments. These are the examples of electro plating. Okay, now fifth method is alloy. So majority of the metallic substances used presently are in the form of alloys only, and the main intention behind this is to decrease the intensity of a corrosion of the metals. And the homogeneous mixture, now alloy means the substance which can be formed with mixture of a 2 to 3 different metals, 2 or more different metals. So the homogeneous mixture formed by mixing a metal with other metals or non-metals in certain proportion is called as alloy. Like for example, bronze is an alloy formed from 90% copper and 10% tin. So this is an example of bronze is an example of a alloy which is made by mixing of 90% copper and 10% of tin. And bronze statues do not get affected by sun and rain, and stainless steel does not get stains with air or water and also does not rust. And it is an alloy made from 70% of iron, 18% chromium and 8% carbon. That means bronze is an alloy which is made from 70% iron, 18% chromium and 8% of the carbon. And in recent times, various types of alloys are used for minting coins. So student, these all are the examples of methods of prevention of corrosion, and I hope you all have understood very well about the process of a corrosion and how the corrosion can be prevented. Corrosion of the metal can be prevented easily. So that's it for today's video. Thank you.